In this lesson, we're going to terminate the head into the neck. Alright, so we've got most of the geometry for the head. We need to build out the back of the head, and we need to get that attached to the neck itself. So to get started with this, let's grab the head, and let's remove the Turbo Smooth and the Symmetry modifier. And then I'm going to grab the body, and I'm going to attach the head to the body. Now really quickly, you'll notice that the head center line is not matching up with the body center line. So let's select the head, and I'm going to move it over in the X direction. And I'm going to move it over to the right just a little bit. Okay, so that way it's right on that center line. And then we'll select the body again. We'll go down to Editable Poly, Attach, and then select the head. Now the head should inherit the Turbo Smooth and the Symmetry, so that has now been applied. And now we are ready to start connecting everything to the head. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to select the polygons that are right here along the bottom. I'm going to delete those. We can take a look and do a little bit of an inspection over the neck and the segments that are in the face, and you can see that we have way too many polygons right down here along the chin. And we're going to have to figure out a way to get that to go into the neck. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to take this set of segments right here. So just double click on that. And I'm going to hit Control Backspace. I'm going to remove that. And then I'm also going to remove this segment right here. So Control Backspace on that. And so now we're left with just this set here. So I can double click on those and I can move those around. But I want to make sure that I constrain that to my edges. And let me just grab a few at a time. And we'll pull back in the Y and the Z, so that way we can get that to kind of slide across that segment. You may have to grab just this one and pull it across as well and get it to move properly. Now if you can't get that to constrain in the right direction, you might try turning off that constraint and working with it that way. Okay, so that's about the middle. I want to double click on this, and that's terminating into that edge. Let's pull this back like so, and then I'm going to grab just that one vertex and pull it back. This one too. Okay, we're just trying to get that line to kind of smooth out there. So now we have fewer segments to work with here, and we can definitely get this to work into here. Now it's going to take a little bit of ingenuity, because we're going to have to take some loops and we're going to have to turn those in a different direction. So to get started with this, I'm going to take what I know. I'm going to take these two edges and bridge that with a single segment for right now. Then I'm going to take a segment back here, and I'm going to select those two edges, and I'm going to bridge that. Now it looks like I may have an extra segment there. Let's make sure we grab that and delete that. Okay. Let me select those two edges and bridge. Okay, now with that bridge together, let's go ahead and use our settings, and let's add a few segments in there. Let's do 2 for right now. We'll go to our left view, go to vertex mode, and I'm going to take these and pull those back. Let's turn off our constraints. Pull that back, and this should be fairly close to the head. We can work with that geometry right there. Okay. So with this, let's start to put everything else into place. So it looks like I can probably take this segment and bridge those together. Now before I do that, I need to make sure that I create the jawline for my character. So I need to select these edges right along the outside here, and I'm going to hit Shift and then drag that in the X. And then I'm going to pull it back in the Y a little bit and make that a little bit thinner in the X again. So now I have this segment and this segment, and I'm going to bridge those with a single segment in between. Let me take that segment that it's created and pull that up so that way it's going into that smoothly. So create a curve there. And then now we've blocked this off into a smaller hole that we can use that cap and cut sequence. And then I can come in here and I can divide this. Now let me go to vertex mode and target, well, this point up to here. because that is going to ultimately fade into that shape. Okay, and this is where the ear is probably going to start. So I'm going to just continue to block out these segments. So I'm going to go from here to here, and I'm going to bridge that. And let's try to match our segments that we have here. I'm going to go here to here, and then I could probably create a loop to end that. Let's do, we'll have to do 3 segments there because there are segments below that. So we'll figure that out. Let's grab that polygon in the middle, and let's pull that out in the X and Y. To get started, let's push that down. And we'll try to pull these points out to try and get them round. Okay. Now that I have that, let's go to edge mode. And I'll select these 2 edges, and I'm going to bridge with a single polygon. And then I'm going to go ahead and use cap and cut. So I'm going to select this, cap it, go to vertex mode and cut. And I could go from here to here, which would be natural for the flow of the neck itself. But it does look a little odd right here. So let's pull that up and in. And you'll see that that begins to create the loop that we need to go up and back into the head itself. So let's select these 2 edges. We'll bridge that. And then these 2, and we'll bridge that. And now we're stuck here. We've got a segment that needs to be taken care of. Now this can be done very easily by selecting this, capping it, going to vertex mode and cut. And I can cut this into a triangle here, or I can go to here. It would probably be easier to go to here, and then I'll cut from here across. And then we'll take that segment and pull it this way. Okay, so we're creating some loops that are just going in different directions here. Now again, this is the head. In the back of the head, it's not going to be seen because it's going to be hidden by that hair mesh. Okay, so let's just come in, let's go to our left view, and let's start to kind of push and pull these points around a little bit and try to get those to kind of soften up. Now, I don't like these polygons right here. I just don't feel like that is as smooth as it could be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to cut, and I'm going to cut across to here. And then we'll figure out what to do here. So I can right-click and target weld this point to here. And then I'm going to get rid of this edge segment, so hit Control Backspace. Go to vertex mode, and I can pull that down. We can create a loop here along the head, but it still gives me that skewed set of polygons. So I'm going to hit Control Z, I'm going to go back, and then I'm going to target weld from here to here. And then we'll go from here up. Let's get rid of these polygons right here. So looking at the back of the head, we just have that segment that's giving us the issue. And let's see. Pull this back across here. And it's all part of the process of trying to figure out exactly where everything is going to go, how that's going to terminate, and it's all going to flow together. Now the back of the head, like I said, it's not really important as far as like deforming edge loops and all of that. It's important for the form and the shape of the model, but we can be a little more lenient on where everything terminates and how it terminates. So I'm just trying to make sure that my topology is exactly the way that I want it to be, nice and clean. But I really need to get rid of this segment here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut from here to here, and then I'll target weld to there, and to there. We have this triangle, And then I'll go ahead and I'll cut from here down. Go to our left view, and I'm going to take that, I'm going to pull that down here. So that's a little more lenient and a little more relaxed on those polygons. I'm going to kind of flare these out just a little bit and relax their overall flow into the shape. And then I'll have to come in and pull these points around. And get that shape properly. Okay, so now we've got the back of the head and everything has terminated into the neck. And now we have this small hole that we've got to deal with right here. So very quickly, let's go ahead and grab that border, we'll cap it, we'll go to vertex mode, and we'll start to create the segments that we need. So I'm going to cut from here down to here, and then across. And then I'm going to cut from here down to here, and then across. And then we need to take these segments somewhere. So go from here to here. And then now we're stuck with the issue of having too many segments right in this area here. So we could go ahead and cut from here to create a triangle, and then here to create another triangle, and then we'll cut across the middle to create a loop. Now there's nothing wrong with doing that. We just need to make sure that we scale those together toward one another, and that will create that loop. And then now we need to just move these points across our geometry and continue with that shape. Now I'm looking at this and I feel like this could come down into here and we can create a nicer loop. So just kind of looking at that a little bit closer. Let's look at it with Turbo Smooth. Yeah, I don't really like that segment there that it's created. Let's take a look at it really quickly. It looks like we may have to weld a couple of verts, so we'll weld that. That looks a little better. It's not too bad. It will terminate. It will allow the character to move their mouth, and it will allow it to deform properly. But I'm still just uncomfortable with that. So whenever you are creating segments, if it's just not working out, if it doesn't look right, don't go with it. You can always add more segments, and you can always change that topology. So I'm going to cut from here down to here. And then I'm going to remove that edge, so Control Backspace. And now I'm left with this triangle. But I know that I can actually cut from here down into the middle of that triangle, remove that edge, and then take that vertex and create that loop to where it goes around underneath the neck like so. And that is a better solution for this. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go with that. That has terminated into the neck. We've got a nice shape. I would suggest in between lessons coming in and just pulling these points around, kind of start to alleviate some of that flow and actually get a little bit of shape out of that a little bit more. You might want to take these edges here, or these points, and just barely pull them down without your constraints turned on. So like here in your left view, you can kind of see how that looks. Now it is supposed to appear flat underneath there. Okay, we don't want any odd shapes or anything like that, but we do want to kind of help out with the overall flow of the topology. Alright, so that looks great. We've got our edge flow, we've got our character all together. Really happy with the way that's looking so far. And then in the next lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to prepare the geometry for our ear. So we'll remove some polygons and we'll create a brand new ear and attach that to the head, and then we'll be on the home stretch. So I'll see you in the next lesson.